It's been way too long since I brought you guys a crockpot video. If you watch my channel, you know how much I love my crockpots. I thought we'd do something fun with this one and we'd do a kids' choice crockpot recipes. These are all recipes that my kids have requested or that are favorites of theirs. Here we go. Ruthie, my oldest, really likes chicken pot pie or chicken pot pie style dishes like bubble ups and casseroles. So I thought that I would do a chicken pot pie soup in the crock pot, and then we're gonna make some really easy 7-Up biscuits to go along with that. That is such an easy biscuit recipe and they are so delicious. So I'll show you how I'm doing that in a little bit. First, I'm gonna get the soup going in the crock pot. And basically what I'm doing is making the filling of the pot pie, and then we'll make the biscuits to go along with it. So it's kind of like a deconstructed chicken pot pie. Really easy, let me show you. Not pictured are my chicken breasts, which are just finishing up thawing. So you'll see those go into the crock pot here in a minute along with all of these things. I have 2 tablespoons of butter and 3 tablespoons of flour. I have an onion and then 4 little yellow potatoes, and I will actually only use half this onion. I'll chop it in half and then I'll chop it up along with the potatoes, and I'll also press these 3 cloves of garlic. I need 3 cups of chicken broth. I'm just gonna make that from 3 cups of water and then about 2 teaspoons of this better than bouillon. I have a package of frozen mixed vegetables. You could use just peas and carrots if you want. And to season this, I'm keeping it really simple. I'm just gonna use a teaspoon of Italian seasoning and then 1 teaspoon of this Auntie Nono's everything seasoning. So super, super easy. I am using my Instant Pot Aura, so I have it on the saute function here, and I am just sauteing the onions with the butter, the 2 tablespoons of butter. I've let those saute for a couple of minutes on their own, and now I'm gonna press my garlic in there as well. You can do this step on the stove of sauteing everything together, and then you can transfer it to your crock pot. Or if you want to, I think you could just skip this and put your ingredients into the crock pot, but leave out the flour, and you could just use a cornstarch slurry later to thicken it. Does not take very long at all for that garlic to start to become fragrant, only about 60 to 90 seconds or so. I'm gonna add my flour. Now I have turned my saute function off, so my crock pot is completely off. I'm gonna add the rest of my ingredients that I want to cook here. Have my frozen mixed veggies, my potatoes, and I chopped mine up pretty chunky. They're pretty large chunks. I didn't chop them up too small. Teaspoon of Italian seasoning, a teaspoon of Auntie Nono's everything seasoning, 2 teaspoons of my better than bouillon base, 3 cups of water. Stir all of that up. Make sure all the seasonings are kind of mixed in there nice. I have 2 pretty large chicken breasts in there. This is probably about a pound of chicken breast, and I just kind of put that into the crock pot and let everything kind of sink in around it. So I'm gonna pop the lid on, and I am actually going to put this on high for, I think, 4 hours, and then we'll see where we are. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on high for 5 hours, but I'll check on it in 4 hours and see if the chicken is done and ready to shred up, and we're ready to add the last ingredient. For the 7-Up biscuits, this is basically it. And some people call these butter swim biscuits. I will hunt down a website that lists out these ingredients and leave it in the description box for you, but it's really very simple. It calls for 4 cups of Bisquick. This is just a generic brand of Bisquick that I got at Walmart, and I will also leave a link in the description box for a recipe for Bisquick if you wanted to make Bisquick from scratch with just standard, baking ingredients. 1 cup of sour cream, which would be 1 8-ounce container. 1 cup of 7-Up, which is basically one of the little small cans, which is what I'm going to use. You just mix all of that up, being careful not to overmix, and you just shape the biscuit dough and cut the biscuits. You want them to be about 1 inch thick, the dough to be about 1 inch thick, and then you put them into a pan to bake them with melted butter. So I will melt this stick of butter, and then I will place the biscuits in the butter, and I will bake them in a 425-degree oven until they are done, probably about 12 to 15 minutes. It has been 4 hours And my chicken is definitely done cooking. I just checked on it and it is fork tender. I don't think that I'm even going to have to take this out of the crock pot to shred it up. See, I'm just able to kind of shred it up using a fork. So I will do that. I have turned my crock pot off for now, but I'm going to add one more thing that's going to help make this really creamy and delicious. I am going to add about a cup of half and half. I'm not going to measure it. I'm just going to eyeball it, but I'm going to add about a cup of half and half. I'm going to stir that up and pop the lid back on. I'm just going to go ahead and put this on low, and in about 30 to 45 minutes, it will be ready to serve. I am very excited about today's sponsor. Auntie Nono's is partnering with me to bring you today's video. Auntie Nono's makes seasonings to help bring crowd-pleasing meals to life with more flavor and less fuss. These seasonings are a shortcut cook's dream because they are designed to be palatable and useful in a variety of dishes, including for vegetables, for proteins, for soups, for crock pot recipes, for instant pot recipes. I have a spice cabinet full of spices back here, and that I will often cook from scratch where spices are concerned, but I also use spice mixes. I still buy the packets from time to time because sometimes I just don't have that much time and I really need something easy. So it's really nice with something like this. I can look at the side of the bottle and I recognize every single ingredient that's in here. And these seasonings are vegan friendly. They are all natural. They don't have any MSG. They are kosher. And these two right here, the Everything and the Firecracker, they're sugar-free as well. So I'm sure that my people out there who are on keto or paleo or just trying to watch their sugar intake really appreciate that. And you guys know, if you watch my channel, that I love a good shortcut. I mean, I'm usually trying to save time or money, and preferably both. So I'm actually very excited to share with you that Auntie Nono's is offering a discount for my viewers today. If you follow the link in the description box to the Auntie Nono's website and you use the code Mindy25 at checkout, you're going to get 25% off site-wide. You can buy the seasonings individually, or you can buy their 3 savory seasonings as a set. And I have to say, I was actually pretty impressed with the size of the bottles that the seasoning comes in. I'm probably not going to run out of that very quickly. So to illustrate my point here are a few seasonings that are frequent flyers for me. I use these all the time whenever I need like an all-in-one seasoning. And then here are the Auntie Nono seasonings. These are definitely larger, will last longer, and I won't have to purchase them as frequently. So thank you again to Auntie Nono's for helping me bring you today's video, and don't forget to visit the link in the description box. Use the code Mindy25 at checkout so you can get 25% off. My son has decided that he is a fan of chicken fettuccine or fettuccine style dishes, so we are going to do a really easy chicken fettuccine in the crock pot, and it's going to be a firecracker chicken fettuccine. It's going to have a little bit of a kick because he also really likes spicy things. Not pictured are 3 very large chicken breasts, which are totally thawed. It's probably about 1.5 pounds of chicken breasts, so this is going to be a pretty large recipe. In fact, I'm going to use an entire pound of pasta when I would normally only use 8 to 12 ounces. So here I have the Auntie Nono's Everything seasoning and the Firecracker seasoning. I'm actually going to use a teaspoon of each of these to season this. I'm going to add this to my crock pot along with a couple teaspoons of minced garlic, 2 cups of chicken broth, which I'm just going to make from this Better Than bouillon. And I'm also going to add about half this jar of sun-dried tomatoes. I'll just save the other half of the jar for another recipe. So these items I'm going to go ahead and get going in the crock pot with the chicken. I'm going to cook it on high for 3 to 4 hours, or you can cook it on low for 5 to 6 or 7 hours, depending on how long it takes the chicken to get done. And then these ingredients we're actually going to add later after the chicken has cooked. So I have a pound of linguine. I have some Parmesan cheese. I would actually normally use about a cup of grated Parmesan cheese, but I have this Parmesan and then this Romano, which I had purchased for a different recipe that I ended up not making for another video a while back. So I'm actually going to use half and half Parmesan and Romano. I will grate that myself. And then I also have some half and half. I'm going to need 2 cups of this later on. You could use just just 1 cup of heavy cream, and then you could increase your chicken broth to 3 cups instead of 2, because my rule for cooking pasta in the crock pot or in a 1-pot dish is 2 to 1 water to pasta. But I have the half and half, and there's about 2 cups left in here, so it's gonna be great. We'll use that up. But again, all of these things are getting added later. These are the things we're gonna go ahead and get in the crock pot and get the chicken cooking, and then we'll finish it out whenever it's closer to dinner time. So I'll show you what that looks like once the chicken is done cooking. My chicken is definitely done. I'm going to take it out and shred it up, and then I'm going to pour in 2 cups of half and half. I'm going to put my linguine in, and then put the shredded chicken back on top. I'll pop the lid back on and let the pasta cook for about 20 minutes on high, and then we'll be ready to stir in the cheese. It is no secret what McKenna's favorite food is.
Potatoes!
And actually, I use the crock pot to make baked potatoes a lot in the summertime because I don't have to fire up my oven and heat up the entire kitchen, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I do that tonight. I mean, it's like 25 degrees outside right now, so it wouldn't hurt to fire up the oven, but I wanna show you how I do this. And I'm going to make a really easy chili cheese sauce to go over the top of them as well, utilizing the crock pot. Fortunately, I have multiple crock pots, so this is gonna work just fine. And if you watch my channel, you know that my son, Brick, does not care that much for potatoes. So if you're worried about what he is going to eat, have no fear. There are plenty of leftovers from other nights. And this chili cheese sauce would work with tortilla chips. It would work over rice. There's lots of ways that we can use it. So he'll have something to eat, no worries. For the Crock-Pot chili cheese, I am just going to use a can of prepared chili, 1 can of Rotel, diced tomatoes with green chilies. I'm gonna use half of this block of cream cheese, just 4 ounces. So I'll cut this block in half, and then I will also be adding some cheddar cheese at the end. But for now, I'm just gonna put half of this block and then this can and this can into the slow cooker. I'm gonna let it cook on low until the cheese is melting. I can stir it all together, probably a couple of hours. And then I can stir in the cheddar cheese, and I'll probably start with half of this block shredded, and we'll just kind of see what it looks like. I probably will only need 4 ounces of shredded cheddar as well. You could double up on this, and then you could use the full block and the full 8 ounces of cheese, but I just want a little bit since there's probably only 4 of us eating tonight. So that's what we're gonna do. I have washed and dried my potatoes, and I'm going to just give each one of them a little pierce with a fork. Just pierce them a couple times. And now that I have pierced each potato, I am just going to take a little bit of oil. I'm using olive oil. You could use butter if you want. And I want to just rub that around on the potato. Then I'm gonna sprinkle just a little bit of salt on there as well and roll it up. I'm gonna do the same thing to the rest of these, and then I'm just going to place them in the crock pot, pop the lid on, and I'm gonna cook mine on high because it takes about 3 to 4 hours on high, and it's already about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you wanted to do them on low, if you wanted to get them start sooner, they usually take about 7 to 8 hours, depending on the size of the potato.